dumbest conversation we've had in 200 sessions.
I don't know. I'm...
Liberation, it's your turn.
Some archive review.
What's happening right now is he's got him wrestled to the ground. The other one is about 100... No, it's probably about 200 feet ahead of you if you want to try to chase him down.
Is my movement speed augmented by my monk? Is my fly movement...
Let's not even worry about your movement speed right now, because you've got so much movement speed and the benefit of fly and long strider. If you want to overtake the second gargoyle, doing so is trivial.
Yes, I will do that.
Okay.
Pop up in front of him.
Yeah, if you take a dash action this turn, you can get around and try to cut him off.
How about this? I will take a movement action and a bonus action to dash with a key point.
Okay.
And then to have a standard action available to say, "Hey, look, friend, we're not trying to hurt anybody. We just want to talk."
And how close are you trying to get to him?
I'd say about 10 feet or so in front of him.
Okay. And so you don't enter his threat range at any point.
No.
And when you get in front of him, when you get in his eye line and you begin to speak, I mean, he hoists his spear up and he hears what you say, and he absolutely is not having any of it. So his next action will be to engage with you. And you can respond to that using your action, since you used a key point to dash.
Dodge.
Dodge. All right. Nath, you're up.
All right. Where am I in relation to everyone else?
A considerable distance above Mahogany and the gargoyle that he's making sweet love with. Mm-hmm. About 200 feet in front of you is where Liberation has the second one. It looks like it's about to get bloody.
Are they in the air?
Yes. They're still flying forward.
I'm going to put a... How far off the ground is Liberation? Goddamn concentration spells.
How far off the ground? Considerable distance, because you had to fly up to these gargoyles. If you ended your fly spell, Liberation has quite a fall ahead of him. But he's a monk, so he'll probably be all right.
Tuck and roll, tuck and roll.
Whether or not the plane considers that a good act, I
mean, I don't want to hurt anyone here. I'm just going to fly over by Liberation and just be ready to stop damage if he takes any. I'm not actually going to take any offensive action, and I can't necessarily communicate with these people.
If you take a dash action, you can get up to where Liberation is this round.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. All right, this guy's going to try to attack Liberation with his spear. Ooh, this one might actually hit. Liberation, I've got a 22 to hit you.
That hits.
As he closes in with his spear. 7 points of piercing damage.
I'm going to go ahead and just put that in the ward.
And so you're going to just eat that up?
Yep. Call, they're CR2.
Yeah, there's not much to him. Mahogany, you're up.
Yeah, I'm going to just keep this guy down until someone comes to talk to him, because I can't.
So your goal is just to hold him there?
Yeah.
All right, let's see if he breaks out this turn. Go ahead and make strength athletics.
Mm-hmm. Is this his turn?
This is all. Yeah, it's his turn. He's Gargo number 2.
No, 20.
20, that beats him.
Brick, just so that we don't need to come back to me every single round if he's just going to keep doing the same stuff, just assume I'm readying my action that if he breaks away, I'm going to grab him again.
Sure. That's what I do every time I have monsters that can grapple.
Yeah.
Liberation. This guy is actively stabbing at you. And the only reason he didn't pierce the skin is because Nath is at your side absorbing the damage.
Go for a grapple.
Try to grab him? Alright.
Yep. 16 to hit.
That hits.
Alright. Take him, grab him, start pulling him down toward the ground next to where Mahogany's got his friend.
So you're going to take him to the ground and then march him back to where Mahogany is?
Yeah.
Okay. Nath, do you do anything to subdue this gargoyle? Because it's going to struggle the entire time Liberation's marching him back.
Don't think I have any anything that wouldn't hurt him right now, because when I thought about the way the magic affected the plane, that kind of counted out all of my spells.
Okay.
And and the entire time I'm like, look, friend, we just want to talk. Don't. Just
Oh, I mean, I
calm
can do
down.
something as soon as he's on the ground, but until then. Because I can't drop my disabling spells would be concentration, and that would make him fall. So,
Well, Liberation already brought him down to the ground.
oh yeah, then I'll drop a hemispherical wall of force over him.
Will that move along with them as they're taking him back?
No, we'll have to bring the other one over here. So,
Is that the plan?
Liberation, do you want me to contain this one here?
I mean, keep trying to talk to him, trying to talk some reason into him.
Is Mahogany's just holding the other one down on the other side?
Yes. That's
How
what it
far
is.
away is he?
About 200 feet or so.
All right, I'll drop the hemispherical wall of force. Let's go try and talk to the other one.
So trap this guy under the wall of force, make your way back to the other one. Mahogany, go ahead and make me one more strength athletics check.
Mm-hmm. 19.
19. By the time your companions get back to you, Mahogany's giant bird form still has this one pinned down. And what do you do with him?
Grab his spear and then say, "Hey, look, friend, we're just trying to find out why you guys are watching us. Like, do you represent someone? Are you working for someone? Can we be of assistance to you in any way?"
Plane wants us to talk to him.
And I just dropped all my dice. And the
No, you didn't. That would have hurt.
well, I have carpet. I know I don't want carpet anymore. I want to tear it up, but that's like gonna be a whole thing. And so Liberation is trying to talk friendship to this guy, and you just see this look on his face that he thinks you're trying to trick him. He's definitely afraid of you, and he's definitely confused by what you're saying. And he keeps looking back and forth between you and where you have his friend contained. And the answer he gives is, if you're going to kill him, you should make it quick and then clear the area.
Nobody's dying tonight.
Or else his superiors will come hunting for you.
Nobody's dying tonight. We just want to know who your superiors are.
Look, this seems to just be a misunderstanding. Why were you watching our mansions for 2 nights in a row?
He says he's not going to tell you anything.
I can't believe nobody is invited to the party. I gave you specific instructions.
I mean, we invited you to...
You're right. I'm sorry. Caw!
He says that you have no idea who you're up against. It's in your best interest to let him and the other one go.
Yeah, you tell us who we have no idea who we're up against because you haven't told us. Please, enlighten us.
When the thing speaks, it's speaking in Terran, by the way, which is a form of primordial that is spoken by primarily earth elementals and the like. Liberation would have not heard it before because he gave all of his residual memories of that to Grand Starius. But it's also the language of the Tao. And the thing tells you that no amount of torture will work. It doesn't have blood or bones or flesh. It's stone all the way down. And he bids you do your worst.
Then there's no torture. Like, I don't torture people. All I want to know is who sent you. Have we offended? Who sent you, and have we offended them in some way?
And he simply says no. You've caused me no offense. Except for detaining me here, of course. Keeping my companion locked under that.
Is there some reason you've been watching us?
All right, let's open this with a let's give a sign of good. Let's give him a sign of good faith. Nath, drop the field.
Stop concentrating on it.
And as soon as you do, you see the other one who's been pushing and trying to force his way out. Once he sees he's free, he grabs up his spear, takes flight, continues off in the direction that he was going.
You hear a bird sigh, and then he...
What does that sound like? Okay, that's not what...
And then he hits one wing against Liberation, and then hits the gargoyle.
The gargoyle looks pleased at this. And he says, well, now you have to let me go. The only thing worse than not reporting back would be to earn a report that I've been killed. Your retribution would be even more pleasant.
Yeah, and then Mahogany urgently hits the guy, and then hits Liberation, and then hits the guy.
All I need is a name.
Mahogany whips his wing into Liberation's face.
Liberation glares at Mahogany.
Hits the guy again.
All right, friend. Have a good night.
Okay, Mahogany immediately looks away from Liberation, and you see him like wave his wing in like a ridiculous up and down pattern, and then hits what's his name? Nath. And then hits the guy.
So everybody's been battered by the giant eagle's wing at this point.
Yeah.
What's Nath's response? What does Nath want to do with this gargoyle?
I mean, if he's not going to give us any information, I guess we should just let him go. Can't force it out of him.
Yeah.
You know that picture of the eagle with the one single tear in its eye?
the burning World Trade Center reflected in his eye. Oh my god. Yes, I know it too well.
Yeah, Mahogany lets go of the guy and immediately flies back to the mansion.
And he very warily... What did Liberation do with his spear?
I'll hold on to it.
Holding on to it?
Yeah.
And it looks for a moment that he's going to make a motion to grab it from him. But he thinks better of it. And he starts warily backing away. And then he takes flight and heads off.
Tell your boss not to fuck with us, okay? Liberation shouts after him.
Mahogany's long gone by this point.
Riot.
Put an arm around Nath and say, oh, guess we got hiking back, eh?
Yeah. It's not that far.
Riot, your companions come back to the mansion. And...
Riot is passed out.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sarah, get out of the way.
Mahogany, as soon as he flies back into the mansion, which I'm assuming is before the other two get back because he left before them.
Sure.
Shapeshifts back and wakes up everyone, and he says, "We found some people the gargoyles are evil as shit. The plane wants us to deal with them."
What? What? What?
Gargoyles, they're evil as shit. The plane wants us to deal with them.
Are they outside?
No, they're coming though with a lot of people.
Do we? Oh god, are we leaving?
Mahogany shrugs. Do you think that the mansion will hold them? I don't know about your bard shit.
I can keep them out if I want, but they might be there in the morning.
Hey, do me a favor, okay?
Yeah.
You know how you made it so that the gargoyle...
Hey, can you not talk so loud?
Alright, I'm sorry. You know how you made it so the gargoyle could get in?
Uh-huh.
Don't do that.
Yeah. Alright, I'll not do that.
Okay.
What's Kelian's response to hearing this news?
Kelian's sleeping, and the moment Mahogany
He
comes
said
in
he
to
woke everyone
explain...
up. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And Kelian's response is, sleeping! Thank you.
Kelian, we need you to shoot someone. It's a good deed.
So Nath and Liberation arrive back to find Mahogany trying to convince his his sleeping friends to go murder these gargoyles.
And Mahogany turns around and just holds his arms out and goes, "What were you guys doing? He thought we were going to torture him, and then he promised vengeance upon us. You know who does that? Evil people."
The overly righteous.
Good answer. So what else is done tonight about this gargoyle thing?
As soon as Mahogany is aware that the others aren't going to come out, Mahogany just goes to bed because it's pointless.
Okay.
I'm gonna insist on having a watch, but other than that, I'll
yeah.
finish out my watch.
Okay.
I'll remove the condition that they can come in.
Okay. Riot and Kelian.
Mhm.
Go ahead and take the benefits of a long rest. And make that wisdom save. Wisdom 10.
Oof. Okay, well that's another big fat failure.
Oh, that's Riot's second failure. Riot, you love this plane.
Mm-hmm.
You don't...
I had a great time last night. I mean, I had a great time pretty much wherever I am.
Yeah.
Kelian is making these saves. It's kind of off-putting.
The next day, there's leaving the mansion the next morning. No sign of any gargoyles.
Oh, maybe they got the hint and told them to buzz off.
Well, we have to go looking for them now because they're going to do some evil shit here.
Oh, is that what? Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
Why are you making that assumption?
No,
That's
that sounds good. Let's do that. The thing with Reach can wait.
No, I don't think so.
And Mahogany says, "It's obvious, guys. We're gonna go to Reese by dealing with these gargoyles."
Yeah, I'm down. Let's do this.
Okay.
The only way to get to Reese is to walk in the opposite direction of her.
All right. You're right. Let's go gargoyle hunting.
So, leaving the river behind and starting to follow off in the direction where the gargoyles went?
Yeah, how do you track a gargoyle?
That was my next question, yes.
Yeah.
So what
Mahogany.
what are you doing to track down these gargoyles? What's the question?
Mahogany is hunting for the leaders of the gargoyles. He's not physically trying to track them because this is Elysium, but he is making his intent known that where he wants to go is to go deal with the evil leader of these gargoyles.
Okay. Wildlife is a very common sight throughout Elysium. Less common are fellow travelers on the road. And it's even less common still on the second layer. This rugged layer where you're on is much less populated. So, when you hear somebody call out to you as you're following after these gargoyles, from high in the sky, it sounds like a bird call. And looking up, you see the familiar sight of Aarakocra above you. 3 of them. And
waves.
Wave through them? Does anybody currently... I mean, I know Liberation understands, but does anybody else speak Orin?
When Mahogany sees the Aarakocra, he shapeshifts into an air elemental and then shouts up to them, "Have you guys had some problems with some gargoyles?"
One of these 3 Aarakocra break off and starts coming down. And it lands next to you, and it's speaking in Orin. Mahogany shouts out, "Have you guys had trouble with gargoyles?" And the response is that they'd heard reports. I guess Aarakocra wouldn't use outriders. They'd use outflyers, I suppose, would be the word.
Unless they're riding each other.
I mean, that's a sex thing. I guess you could be into it.
No, if 5 Aarakocra have sex, they summon an air elemental.
And that's why you're here.
No, there's only 3 of them. There's not 5. Says that the Outflyers had seen reports of these types of creatures in the area. That they have been searching the area looking for them, and ask if you've come across them.
And Mahogany nods, and he says, "You guys live here, right? You know how this plane works?"
And he tells you that he is one of the warriors from Precipice.
That's fantastic. I love to hear that. We'd like to help you out in dealing with these gargoyles, and then go back with you. Because we think the plane wants us to deal with them.
He asks you what you know of them.
They're not that powerful individually, but they seem to have some sort of leader that they're in awe and fear of. So that seems like a bad problem.
Now, while doing planning for this session, I went to my favorite website, fantasynamegenerators.com.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a Birdman name generator.
Yeah.
Lovely.
These words are 100% impossible to pronounce. Like a lot of Q's and double W's, like 2 W's in a row. So you're going to have to bear with me as I start introducing these bird folk. This guy is not too bad. His name is Zabiki. What was that noise?
His name's Zabiki.
It's Nodal getting the joke.
Oh, I see where he's going with this. Again, if I could just reach out and if I had a mute button for him. And he says that he is one of the scouts from Precipice, tasked with finding these gargoyles and assessing the threat. He asks for your names, you and your group.
Mahogany? And Mahogany points to himself.
You can't point. You're
Kelian,
an elemental.
He wishes towards himself. Kelian, Riot, New Serenity, and Liberation.
Did he just say liberation twice?
And then Mahogany points back at Nath and says, "Nath."
He asks if you'll wait a moment while he tells the others what you've told him.
Yeah, no problem.
He flies back
We're
up.
happy to wait.
And the 3 of them are swirling in a circle as they confer. Zabiki flies back down. It says, if it's not too much trouble, I would ask that you accompany me back to Precipice so that we can give a report to my superiors.
That sounds wonderful.
The other 2 will continue searching the area. And he starts kind of plumbing you guys for information. Where did you see these gargoyles? What happened when you saw them? What were they up to? Do you know anything about who they're working for or with? How the hell did they get to Elysium in the first place? This kind of thing.
And Mahogany answers them, although not necessarily in the order that the questions were asked.
Okay. How does Mahogany... Well, I guess Liberation could tell the rest of the group what's going on, because...
Yeah.
He's a
Mahogany
translator.
doesn't currently have a tongue.
Yeah, I can translate. No,
The last question he
what
asks...
information they're pumping for.
Okay. So how much do you guys tell him about what went down with the gargoyles last night? You leave anything out?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, Mahogany tells him everything.
Okay. The last question he asks is whether or not your companions will have any difficulty reaching Precipice.
And Mahogany says, "Oh, I'm in charge of this one here. The bridge guy. He gave me this feather. So as long as he's with us, he should be fine. He's not going to do anything evil."
He apologizes. He says he didn't make himself understood very well. What I meant to say was, can your companions fly?
Oh, we got wizard for that. Don't worry.
For how long?
He describes Precipice as he's leading you guys towards it, and the path that you're following gives way into foothills, which starts to give way into very steep terraces, down which one of these tributaries of the River Oceanus is flowing. And these terraces, or rather the river in this place, is not particularly wide, maybe only 20 or 30 feet in some areas. But Zabiki informs you that it's more dangerous than it looks. That even though this area of the river is only 20 or 30 feet wide, it is still incredibly and infinitely deep. The rushing waters, as it comes down from the cliffs of Precipice and then spilling down across these terraces, has claimed many, many lives. Precipice itself, I don't even need to describe it. You guys can see what it looks like. It's this series of holes and essentially giant birds' nests set into the side of this enormous, fantastical cliff. And there's no way to reach it on foot. It is absolutely impossible to reach without flight or without a very grueling climb.
We can fly for 10 minutes at a time, which is good enough to get into there, though we might need to rest if we have to move between those different rooms often.
Okay.
And don't worry, that guy over there can run up walls.
Zabiki also informs you that when you arrive, he's going to put you into the care of Kuruse, who is an Aarakocra, like himself. Most of the denizens of Precipice are bird people. Kuruse, however, does work with one of the factions back in Sigil, and he speaks your tongue.
Which faction does he work with?
The Transcendent Order.
Okay, great.
Predictably.
I don't know if this is weird for me to tell you this, but I really like your plane. It's very convenient.
So, Nath, you're in charge of helping everybody fly up the precipice?
Yeah, are you an eagle right now?
I'll polymorph myself into an eagle.
Okay.
So it's just the three of us?
That'd just be Nath and Kelian and Liberation need help flying.
No problem. Yep. That's we got to fly for 10 minutes then once we get there.
Okay. And the city of Precipice, it's not really a city per se. I guess a village would be a more apt term, or maybe even just community, is absolutely not designed to be traversed on foot. Zabiki takes you to one of the lowest and largest of these, essentially just cavities in the side of this cliff face. And he tells you it is the Visitors' Commons. This is the place where visitors are put to stay. It doesn't look like it could accommodate more than 10 or 12 people at a time, and there's no buildings. I mean, it's just open to the elements. Of course, on Elysium, there's no natural rain. And it's never too hot or too cold. But there's not so much as a bedroll. Instead, there are literally straw nests. He tells you that if you need, food can be brought up from the base of the falls, fish from the ocean, fruits or root vegetables.
Sounds tasty.
Mostly they eat grubs. Lots and lots of...
Hey, I'll try anything once.
Okay, so one of them comes around and regurgitates grubs into Liberation's mouth.
How entranced is Mrs. Fluffy Bottom right now?
Mrs. Fluffybottom hates life because she's clinging to Kelian's legs while he's being flown up into precipice.
Okay, so she's not entranced by all of these birds at all.
She has that look in her eye that says, I could take him.
She has that look in her eye that's like she would much rather not be flying through the air. That's horrible. Why?
Okay.
God, why?
Just making sure.
So you guys make yourself as comfortable as could be expected, and very shortly you are met by an Aarakocra woman named Karuse. And she is very openly wearing the colors of the ciphers.
Is she speaking common?
Yeah, she speaks common quite well.
Then Mahogany shapeshifts back, and he says, "Oh, it's great to see you. We made it."
Well, hang on. We haven't done anything about the gargoyles yet.
Yeah, what's the deal with this gargoyle thing? Like, they were watching us for 2 nights.
And she says that you guys know more about the gargoyles than they do. She was told that you had encountered them and had a short skirmish.
We tried to pump them for information. There was very little violence actually traded, but...
Well, we didn't know if they were evil or not when we
Right.
talked to them, but I'm pretty sure they're pretty evil.
Yeah, we assumed that they were good. Being on Elysium and all, we were going to invite them to our party.
She says that the information that she has is very limited. She wasn't actually born and raised in Precipice. In fact, most of her work here is as kind of a liaison between various communities in Elysium and her faction back at Sigil. So she doesn't really live in one place or the other. And that it's very, very rare that factioneers come to Precipice at all. So she's actually astonished when Mahogany wild shapes back and is wearing colors. Like, she's delighted that a fellow Cypher has come, and she's very interested in what business brings you to Precipice. If not,
He says, I have good news for you. Reese is coming.
She has a look on her face like she doesn't believe you.
Yeah.
And so
we
now
have a good authority.
she's pretty much forgotten this whole gargoyle situation and is very interested to hear all about your dealings with Lady Reese and why she might be paying a visit to Precipice.
Yeah,
Trying
and
to control my
Mahogany
mind
tells her
once.
the story. Like, this was one time I hadn't quite understood the faction yet, so I was waiting for her for a while, which was a waste. Don't do that. And then I went up and talked to her, and she said I was an idiot. But she cared enough to tell me.
So needless to say, Karuse hits it off pretty well with Mahogany right off the bat. The information that she has about these gargoyles is very sparse. She doesn't have all the details either. What she knows for sure is that a scout from another Aarakocra community arrived. One that Precipice is not on terrific terms with because they follow different religious. They have a different god, essentially. But he arrived badly wounded. In fact, by the time he got here, his wing had been shattered, and he arrived mostly on foot. And he had told a story about being set upon by brigands, their community was laid waste, and that they were trying to retake their valley, and wanted to know whether or not the denizens of Precipice could lend any aid. He was put up here for a few days, but eventually it was decided that no, Precipice, there was nothing that they were going to do to help. It was this religious difference between their two communities is why he was eventually turned away.
Who is this god and who's yours?
Theirs is Serenita. Serenita is a neutral good power of the Aarakocra, essentially. And that's literally the extent of the knowledge I have on Serenita is power of the Aarakocra.
So she and Osprey getting along pretty well, huh?
They go to all the same reunions.
I'm sure if I looked up in the Planescape Powers book, there would be more than that. But
I love the... Listen, I'm sure that if I looked up this god, there'd be more information than Osprey.
Oh,
Because how could it there be?
Osprum's not even mentioned in that book.
And who's theirs?
I have to actually look that up.
Caw.
Caw. You couldn't pronounce it with your non-beak. Remnus.
Seems like gargoyles knocking over villages is pretty bad news for anybody.
And this is the first. She says, you guys having encountered their scouts, their outflyers, out in the wilderness. That was the first anybody had heard of gargoyles. And what really was unnerving about this visitor that they got is they tended his wounds, and eventually they turned him away because of this religious difference. But when he left, he didn't leave on good terms. He kind of left issuing threats to the effect of if Precipice didn't lend aid to he and his brethren, that their village would pay the price for it.
Is that how the plane works?
And she says that, well, that's the thing. One of the differences between their community and this one of Remnus is that this Aarakocra, he wasn't from a village on Elysium. He was a native of Arborea.
Sure, but if you turn away enough people traveling and asking for help, soon you can't leave the house to find eggs, or you'll end up walking in the middle of nowhere, finding people needing assistance.
And she kind of looks at him quizzically, like she doesn't understand.
There was this thing with he ate spell crystals, and then once we helped him out, we could come up here. Like, it's my understanding that if you want to stay on good terms with the plane, you don't go around not helping people.
She asks Mahogany what he would have done to offer aid. I mean, they bound his wounds as best they could, but he was asking them essentially to go to war against enemies that have never set foot near Precipice for reasons that don't align with their powers.
Sure, but if you don't do anything, then that's not going to change anything. And you can't do anything unless you know what's going on. I would have gone to verify this guy's words for myself.
Well, and that's why they started sending out scouts and outflyers to start patrolling the area to find out whether there were any threats, whether there was any credibility to what this stranger had said. And
see, it worked. Once you started doing something, you found us, and we told you there is a threat.
What luck. Her opinion seems to be that very shortly you will be called by the war leader, Ainie, and you'll be asked in a more formal setting to share all this information, and then they'll come to a decision about what needs to be done. But that decision is going to be done. Kind of the driving agent will be what is best to defend Precipice and the people here. There's not a big militia here. There's really no need to keep up a large militia on Elysium. Mostly it's families. Aarakocra and no small number of intelligent giant eagles. Nodal just peed a little bit when I said that.
It's great.
They're not really worried about having to defend Precipice. This is an extremely defensible position, but if there's not a danger to the people here, they're not. She doubts the war leader will act.
Well, this place seems very defensible because it's up on a cliff, but gargoyles fly.
And this is all information that she says you'll be able to give to the war leader when you speak with them. And then after that, she starts just absolutely laying into you guys about news from Sigil. Mm-hmm. She hasn't been back in a long time, and she wants to drive the conversation that way as much as possible.
No, that's understandable. Sigel's great, and Mahogany is willing to tell her all about it.
Okay.
Sigil hasn't been doing too well lately.
Nah, I just got some problems. Did you hear about the Bazaar? And Riot will tell about the whole hard-headed takeover of the Bazaar.
One of the reasons that she left Sigil the last time she did was she was present for Nylesia's proclamation.
Oh, well, then
Did you hear Reese's speech?
No, she didn't. In fact, it was her
Well,
understanding that Reese hadn't done much of anything in either direction when it came to the Mercy Killers.
did you hear that Nylesia was shagging Duke Darkwood, and he totally just brushed her aside?
She hadn't, but she certainly loves gossip.
That's totally a thing that happened. We were there when he brushed her aside. It was.
Yeah, she didn't have the support of anybody anymore.
She considers
Did you
that
hear
to be
about how he
goodness.
saved 400 people?
So how much of the conversation is taken up with you guys, like talking yourselves up, so to speak?
A lot in Riot's part.
A great deal?
Yeah, Mahogany's willing to tell her about all the great things that he did. He doesn't make anything up.
Okay. Is anybody looking to not hang out here and looking to go elsewhere in Precipice and try to get into trouble elsewhere?
No, I guess not. If
What else is? I'll ask
Mahogany's
what else is in the
babysitting me.
city or village.
Actually, yeah.
Any other?
Well, yeah, go ahead, Naz.
It's like you mean it's like as far as services and things?
Yeah, or just anything else interesting to look at. Like, Nath has absolutely no interest in Sigilian politics.
Nath asked the Cypher what there is to do around here.
Aarakocra culture is such that their little village isn't much more than a place to rest. Most of their dealings are out in the wilderness, where they hunt, where they farm. Most of what they do for recreation is in the skies. So there's not going to be a shop, there's not going to be a bar, there's not going to be anything like that in Precipice.
Yeah, Riot wants to know two things. One, where's the temple to Serenita?
The temple is in the highest part of the cliffs.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, this isn't an actual one-to-one representation, but it would be like this hole here, underneath that vast overhang. Most of these holes in the cliff here are not carved. They're natural. They were bored through by the river of Oceanus when it used to flow differently. That's what Karuse says, anyway. But the temple at the top is carved. The Aarakocra, many, many centuries ago, did that to put their mark on this cliff as being Serenita's place. She says it's quite beautiful to behold.
And the other question is, what's down there at the bottom? I saw there was a giant waterfall over the other cliff.
The waterfall is the river Oceanus. There's right next to Precipice, so pretty much you guys can look out and see these vast falls at all times.
Yeah.
And that's where when it hits the ground, there's this big reservoir, and from small reservoir, and then from there it flows down through the terraces that you guys climbed up earlier, and then from there flows out into the flatlands and becomes the tributary that you guys were following yesterday.
Anyone down there?
She says that they fish the reservoir and the river. As far as intelligent creatures, they're very uncommon in this part of the river because if you're a swimmer that lives in Oceanus, you're not going to swim over a waterfall, most likely. But there are rumors that the depths of the lake outside of Precipice connects with other parts of Oceanus on other planes.
That sounds right.
Obviously, none of the Aarakocra can breathe underwater, so they haven't plumbed the depths of the lake. The river, she says, downriver, going down through the terraces is especially treacherous.
Once the conversation goes to a lull, Mahogany claps his hands together and says, "All right, I want to go talk to a giant eagle."
And you just go do that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Have fun.
Yeah, there are several eagle families living here.
Hey guys. And Mahogany can speak with animals. What do you do when you're trying to tell someone intelligent like you guys something, but you don't speak the same language, but you can understand what they're saying? That's really frustrating, right? Like, as full timers, because I'm only a part timer myself. What's your solution?
And this is not a problem that these giant eagles have ever had to deal with. They're definitely amused by you. They say very rarely get visitors. You find no shortage of people to converse with and pass the time with. And even the rest of you in the commons throughout the day, pretty much a representative from every family in the village finds the time to come around and make introductions. You guys are the talk of the town right now.
Liberation's pretty affable. He talks.
Wait, hold up. You mean we're the squawk of the town?
Oh my god. Nodal, you're fired.
So we have to take our break now.
Yeah.
We have.
That's required.
I mean, the reason I wasn't able to play last week is because I had a migraine. I had a really bad headache. And Nodal, I gotta say,
I don't get how those two things are related.
let me go ahead and put Elizabeth on screen so we can take 15 minutes.
Oh god.
Let's reconvene at 4:55. And I'm gonna make Chef Boyardee.